Peace, family. Y'all know who it is. It's Dr. Bakari K. Lumumba of LumumbaSpeaks.com. Back with today's show in conjunction, of course, with Beacon Online Network, the Pan African social media extraordinaire in the home of African centered news and information. If you're watching the show, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hit the notification bell. Like, subscribe, share. Make sure you're a blessing to the show via Cash App, Venmo, and of course the Super Chat. So we have a show this evening titled Black Women and What They Think. Some may be aware where I'm getting this concept from. Of course, this comes from the column that was, of course, published in the Universal Negro Improvement Associations or the UNIA's Negro World newspaper. If you are unaware or unfamiliar with the Negro World paper, shame on you. But right, we will give you a brief, of course, introduction about the Negro World newspaper. At the time, I would argue it's the preeminent black journal or newspaper periodical in the world. Right, it had a subscription based from New York City to Sydney, Australia, 103 languages, of course, English, French, and of course Spanish. That brothers and sisters on the continent were found reading the Negro World newspaper in colonial Africa that would be incarcerated, subsequently arrested and incarcerated for sedition, if I remember correctly. And so Garvey, at this time, of course, was incarcerated, facing, of course, those trumped up charges of mail fraud. And, of course, his wife, Amy Jock Garvey, along with, of course, his first wife, Amy Ashworth Garvey, uh, wrote that column, edited the column, where they spoke out about numerous issues, particularly the importance of Black women being, equal partners or sisters in the struggle. Of course, they discussed issues such as, of course, the fight for a racial uplift, which was extremely prominent during that time period due to the concept of the new Negro and the Harlem Renaissance. But also, they were to focus on women's rights, right? They rejected the idea that women were merely helpmates to men. And we know when we look at our history of Pan-African resistance here in the world, that women haven't just been helpmates, right? They actually were soldiers in the struggle, truly sisters, soldiers in the struggle. And then, of course, the content of the column typically focused on critiques of not only white supremacy, but also black male sexism. So, in respect to, of course, both Miss Garveys, right? I thought about doing a show discussing Black women, what they think. That, of course, is a derivative of the pioneering column in the Negro World newspaper, Our Women and What They Think. And, of course, part of this is based on the great colloquy that we had in my show yesterday, where we were able to connect with some of the sisters and really discuss issues that I think were on their minds. And so I said, how about we create an actual platform, an actual show where sisters can tap in, be part of the conversation, and share with us what they think, and particularly what they want and what they're looking for in the Black community. So the link is in the description, family. Link is in the description. I will put the link in the chat momentarily, and then we'll be able to move forward, of course, with the conversation. But this is really for the sisters this evening. No hate to the brothers, right? But I think this is a conversation for the sisters. Once again, they brought up some rather poignant points during, of course, yesterday's show. And so I think, oftentimes we struggle to get sisters into these spaces to converse, to give their opinion, tend to be a male dominated space. And maybe that's because the men tend to like to debate, so on and so forth. I'm not really in female spaces, so I really don't know. But just want to really give them a space and an opportunity to share what they think and what they would like to see the community. So once again, the link is in the description, family. We'll put in the chat. If anyone has any questions for sisters, right, you could put those in the chat as well. Definitely want to hear from sisters. Today's show, Black women, what they think. Right, we want to know what you think. What do you want to see from the community? And then we can move forward with a conversation. Of course, this is not analogous to the Million Man March, where there was this concept of this militant, of course, journey to the Capitol, D.C., at the seat of government, only to then say, now we're going to make a pledge to atone and do better when we go back to our community, right? I think that was a bit whole lot of nothing. I think a lot of that was performative or functionatory in nature. Um, and so we wanted just to have a constructive conversation where we're really able to hear what a lot of the Black-minded women in the community have to say, what they're looking for, what they think. And then, of course, we can see if there's anything that we can implement as a result of that conversation. What typically is the case here at Lumumba Speaks to People on Network, the focus typically is to have an intellectually driven conversation where we're able to take what is being discussed, talked about, make some actual proposals, and then move forward uh, and try to implement those proposals, irrespective of where we are on the planet. So definitely hope to hear from you all, family. Um, but Black women and what they think, that is today's show. Black women and what they think, that is today's show. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, the thumbs up button, and the notification bell. You're watching LumumbaSpeaks.com in conjunction with Beacon Line Network, the Pan African social media extraordinaire, in the home of African-centered news and information. So definitely tap in, family. The link is in the description. And of course, the link is in the chat now. I definitely want to hear from you all. If you have any questions for sisters, right? You can put those in the chat as well. Hopefully we can get some respondents to, of course, be part of the conversation. But we really want to know, what do Black women think? What do they want, right? And then we can have, how is it possible? Is it probable, right, that these concepts and ideas can be implemented, right? We're talking about pragmatism now. One of my favorite books is Pan-Africanism and Pragmatism, right? Lessons from the Union of Tanganyika and Zanzibar. So definitely want you all to tap in and be part of the conversation. Once again, family, as many of you know, you do not have to cam up to be part of the conversation, right? You can stay behind the camera, and you can, of course, use a pseudonym. I actually employ many people to use a pseudonym to protect one's identity. Even though that may create what many feel as a barrier in terms of being able to connect and be part of a conversation. But we definitely understand. So definitely, family, want you all to tap in, be part of the convo, and looking forward to hearing from you all, particularly the sisters, regarding Black women and what they think, highlight what they want. Once again, this is a shout out to, of course, what took place over 100 years ago now, with the Negro World newspaper and their column, Are Women and What They Think, right? So we want to know what Black women think today, 100 years post, of course, the Negro World newspaper. So definitely tap in, family, be part of the conversation, waiting to hear from you all. The link is in the description, as always, and the link is in the chat. And of course, just have this conversation regarding, of course, Black women and what they think. You know, there's a lot going on right now in the media that we may not get into, but we want to focus on things that, of course, are substantive. And of course, we want to look at, are we able to pragmatically, right, implement maybe some of the things that are going to be proposed on this evening's show. Hope as that everyone is having a great Pan-African Monday evening. As many of you are aware, back to the work week, the grind, right, the hustle, as Luther Vandross once stated. But definitely looking forward to hearing from you all this evening. And also, if you have any questions, any desire for there to be a show on a particular subject matter, we definitely can do that as well. But once again, family, we're here, LumumbaSpeaks.com, Black Empowerment Initiative, where we believe we can gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black, in conjunction with Beacon Line Network, the Pan-African social media extraordinaire, in the home of African-centered news and information. Tap in, like, subscribe, share. Of course, we're looking to have a conversation with the sisters, and that is regarding Black women and what they think, Black women and what they think, Black women and what they think. This, of course, is in reverence of the column that was initially led and edited by Amy Ashford Garvey, and then, of course, led by Dr. Marcus Garvey, Amy Jacques Garvey. In that column, of course, addressing a number of issues pertinent to racial, but also regarding Black women's rights, the right to suffrage, struggle for suffrage, and any other issues as well. Of course, a critique of a vociferous critique of white supremacy as well. So we're really paying homage to, of course, the Negro World newspaper, and of course Garvey's two wives, of course, who wasn't married at the same time, who was engaged in polygamy, and just really want to hear what sisters have to say. So once again, The link is in the description. The link is in the chat. Tap in and be part of the conversation. I'd love to hear from you all. Uh, at today's show, Black women and what they think, Black women and what they think. And of course, you do not have to cam up. You can, of course, keep your camera off. And of course, we would implore you to use a pseudonym to protect one's identity. We tend to discuss some hot button, controversial topics here on the platform. We don't want anyone to, of course, have their employment, their livelihood adversely affected by tapping in and being part of the show. So definitely want to hear what the sisters have. Oftentimes in these spaces, there's an argument that women aren't platformed in a positive light. They aren't allowed or given space to actually speak on issues that they believe are pertinent to the community. And this gives you an opportunity to do so. So definitely want to hear from you all. And of course, we can have a conversation in good faith, not in bad faith, but in good faith. This isn't, of course, the manosphere where we're looking to bring cherubic type women to have conversations that they really lack the intellectual depth to engage in. This is here we typically have some very bright individuals that type into the show and are part of the conversation. So we're hoping that will be the case this evening on, of course, Pan-African Monday. So definitely, family, looking forward to you all tap in, be part of the conversation. As I said before, you're watching LumumbaSpeaks.com and Black Empowerment Initiative, where we believe we could gain advantage by always betting on Black, in conjunction, once again, with Bitcoin Line Network, the Pan-African social media extraordinaire, and the home of African-centered news. If you have any questions for sisters, please put the questions in the chat, and I will, of course, share them live. Once again, if you have any questions for sisters, put those questions in the chat to ask them live to, of course, the audience, and hopefully we get a response. But today's show is Black women and what they think. So tap in, family, be part of the conversation. Look forward to hearing from you all. Let's have a great convo regarding women and what they think. So link is in the description. Link is in the chat. Look forward to hearing from you all. So link is in the description. Link is in the chat. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hit that notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. And of course, gotta go over today's Black History Fact. Many of you may be unaware, but today is, so we have two Black History Facts today, unfortunately. One is positive, one negative. Positive is Hubert Harrison, the Black Socrates, Pan-Africanist, was born today, right? If you are unfamiliar with Harrison, you definitely got to check him out, do a deep to who the man was, the man, the myth, the legend that is Hubert Harrison. He actually was the one that actually engaged in an affair with Amy Ashwood Garvey that led to Marcus Garvey's. Many people may be unaware of that. This is simply what's alleged. In fact, someone that was mentioned in the divorce filings by, if I remember correctly, the Honorable Garvey. Then, of course, on this day, April 27th, 1972, the Honorable Dr. Nkrumah transitioned to the realm of the ancestors. In Guinea, as you're aware, years before, there was a CIA-backed coup in Ghana while Nkrumah was on, if I remember correctly, a visit to the Orient, Southeast China, Indochina, Vietnam, if I remember correctly, Thailand, some part of that area. And it was the CIA-backed coup, and as a result, Nkrumah would transition to the realm of the ancestors 6 years later while he was living in exile. So just something to be, of course, aware of in terms of today's, of course, Black History Fact. We always want to pump those out to you all on a diurnal basis, and we hope you all appreciate, of course, our Black History Fact. So number one, put a 1 in the chat if you're appreciative of us doing today's Black History, having Day History Facts. So put a 1 in the chat if you're appreciative of today's Black History Facts. Put a 2 in the chat if the answer is no, and put a 3 in the chat if you are unaware of our Black History Facts at LumumbaSpeaks.com. So definitely tap in, family. Want to hear from you all, particularly the sisters, Black women, what they think, Black women, what they think, Black women, what they think. Of course, once again, we're paying homage to the column in the Negro World newspaper titled Our Women and What They Think. That was led by, of course, Amy Ashwood Garvey and Amy Jacques Garvey. And we want to hear from the sisters today. Plus years since, of course, the Negro World ceased publication, right? It's around the time. We want to hear from you all. So definitely tap in, be part of the conversation. The link is in the description, and the link is in the chat. We want to give space to sisters, particularly because of the great colloquy that we had at the end of yesterday's show. So I want to hear from you all. Be part of the convo. This gives you a chance to really, speak your piece, and we can have a good faith conversation. We know oftentimes, unfortunately, in social media spaces, there are a lot of bad faith conversations that are taking place where people are simply throwing mud at each other. But we have mature conversations here at Lumumba Speaks and Be Quiet Network, and we want to continue that. So tap in, family. The link is in the description. The link is in the chat. If you have any questions for the sisters, please do so. Once again, if you are familiar with, of course, our daily Black History Facts, put a 1 in the chat. If you're unfamiliar, put a 2 or 3 in the chat. Definitely would love to hear from you all. So if not, family, we're gonna check out, right? So we've been live for almost 20 minutes. Hope to hear from you all. If that isn't the case, then we will call it an evening. I wish you all a good night. So definitely, family, if you can tap in, be part. If not, you know what we're doing. We will always bet on Black as a whole. Definitely, family. The link is in the description. The link is in the chat. Pull up and let's have a good faith conversation with the sisters regarding Black women and what they think. All right. Well, until next time, family, y'all know what to do. Before you go, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you for supporting the channel. And remember, here at Lumumba Speaks, we always bet on Black. Peace.